Okay, let's start with a big question. What if the most fundamental currency we use is just plain wrong? I mean, we're all taught to value money, right? But the real asset, the thing that truly governs our lives, and the one thing we can never get back, is our time.
So let me ask you directly, what's your single most valuable asset? Is it your house, your savings account? Whatever just popped into your head, I want you to hold on to that thought, because we're about to challenge that entire way of thinking.
You see, the core difference here is actually pretty simple when you break it down. Money, that's a system we created. It's flexible, right? It can be printed, invested, you can lose it and make it back. But time, well, time is totally different. It's finite. It's the one thing you truly own that can never be replaced. And that right there makes it the ultimate scarce resource.
And this is where things get really interesting. It brings us to how these two ideas, time and money, have become so deeply, almost invisibly tangled up in our modern lives. You could almost say they're the two big social contracts we all sign just by being part of this society. I mean, just think about the way we even talk about our lives. We spend time, we save time, we waste time. Sound familiar? A paycheck isn't just a number in your bank account, it's literally a chunk of your life's hours converted into cash. A deadline? That's just your productivity being measured against the ticking clock. We've basically taken the language of economics and applied it to our most precious, totally non-economic resource. Okay, so if we agree that time is that valuable and that finite, then a really critical process starts to come into focus. It's a process we're calling the Great Extraction, and it's all about how your personal, irreplaceable hours are systematically turned into someone else's profit. And the process itself is a surprisingly simple three-step flow. It works like this. First, you provide your limited hours. Second, some external system, an employer, an institution, lays claim to them. And third, and this is the key part, those hours are converted into profit for someone else. Yeah, that conversion right there, turning one person's life hours into another person's profit, that's what's being called the engine of modern extraction. It's pretty much the fundamental transaction that powers our entire modern economy.
All right, so that's a pretty heavy idea, but what if we could design a completely different system? This is where we get into a really radical thought experiment. What if we built an entire economy based not on money, but on time itself?
So what does a time-based economy actually mean? Well, at its core, it's a system where hours become the main unit of exchange. And the most important rule, the absolute crucial part, is that your time cannot be taken or turned into a commodity without your direct, explicit consent.
And really, the entire foundation of this idea is personal sovereignty. The number one protection, both legally and ethically, in a society like this would be your complete individual control over your own hours. Your time belongs to you. Full stop. End of story.
Okay, now this has massive implications. I mean, when you change the fundamental currency of a society, you pretty much change everything else along with it. You completely redefine work, and you redefine what we as a people even decide has value in the first place. All of a sudden, employers wouldn't just be competing for your labor, they'd have to compete for your time. And that means the incentives would have to get a whole lot better. We're talking about things like truly flexible schedules, real opportunities to develop new skills, work that feels meaningful, and a genuine stake in the outcome, not just a paycheck at the end of the week.
I mean, the paradigm shift here is it's huge. Instead of value being all about profit for shareholders, it becomes about your contribution to other people's lives. Instead of incentives being purely financial, they become multidimensional and personal. And innovation, it would be driven by big, long-term questions, not the pressure of hitting quarterly profit targets. And can you just imagine the result of a shift like that? When you're not constantly forced to trade your time just to pay the bills, you suddenly have the freedom to experiment, to learn, to fail, and to work with others on projects that actually matter. I mean, the amount of creativity that would be unleashed would be incredible.
But of course, an idea this big, this disruptive, it's not going to go unchallenged. We have to be realistic here and ask the tough question. Who would fight against this? Who benefits the most from keeping the current system exactly the way it is?
Well, the simple truth is, our current system really benefits a very small group of people at the very top. So those with that kind of entrenched power that's literally built on extracting the hours of other people, they would have every single reason to resist a change that gives that control back to individuals.
But, and this is the crucial way to reframe this, the fact that this idea threatens the status quo isn't a sign that it's a weak idea. It's actually a sign of its potential power.
If you look back through history, all meaningful social change has been met with resistance from the people who benefit from the way things are.
So all of this, it brings us from these big abstract ideas about economics and systems right down to something incredibly personal, a deeply moral question. This isn't just some academic debate. It's about the kind of world you and I actually want to live in.
And that's really the choice, when you lay it all out. Do we want to keep building societies that are centered on this relentless accumulation of wealth for just a few people? Or do we want to reorient our entire world around the idea of human flourishing for everyone? Let me throw a number at you. 8,760. That's how many hours there are in a year. That's all you get, every single year. It's just a stark, finite number. And the most profound, maybe even scary, truth about those hours is how final they are. You can't earn them back. There's no refund. Once an hour is spent, it is gone, forever.
So, if we accept this idea that our finite, irreplaceable hours are the true currency of our lives, it leaves us with what might just be the most important question we can ever ask ourselves. How will you spend yours?